Hello guys, welcome to the very first ever DW Live show. I'm going to call it a show. Over the next few weeks, we're going to be basically bringing you some of these where you can help educate you guys about some of the fantastic things out there, entertain you as well, maybe get some team building things involved, learn some skills, which is what we're going to do today, which brings me nicely to Dominic. Hello, Dom. How are you?
Hey, I am all good. I've just realised I put us around the wrong way on the screen already. Made a mess up, but hey, there we go. I'm all good. How are you?
Yeah, really, really good. So just to let you know, Dominic and myself are going to be bringing you these over the next few weeks, especially during the crisis that we're going through at the moment, to help you out. Fill your time, learn some new skills, etc., etc. Going to be a bit of fun as well. I mean, this is my very first time, so one of us is clearly a professional and one isn't. The professional is over there, and the non-professional is here.
We're going to make this work as best we possibly can.
So just to give you some background, Dominic is from Stream, company called Stream. We work with Dominic constantly. You may have seen him at some of our shows and events and things. Stream are a live streaming company. And obviously, over the last few weeks, all this crisis thing that's going on, Dominic's been in high demand. It's also affected his business as well. So we thought it would be a really good idea to kind of talk to you guys and, interact with you as well and get some information both ways about all things webinars, live streaming, online events. Is that your kind of take on this, Dom, as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a really appropriate time to do it because, as you just said, my business has been affected now. I think there has been the general line that I get when I'm talking to clients at the moment, when I first pick up the phone to them for the first time in a few weeks, is, "Wow, you must be really busy." And I think 10 days ago, that might have been the case. I think we were in this situation where suddenly live events weren't happening and people were thinking, well, okay, perhaps if I at least had my live event on the stage, but I removed the audience, then we could live stream that. But obviously things change, and what's happened over the last few days particularly is actually no, the business in terms of the live streaming side, you know, if there isn't an event to live stream, you don't have anything to go film. So now people are trying to find new ways of working and are adapting to taking their events online. And this just seemed an opportune moment to start talking about that, and not necessarily coming to this with all of the ideas and all of the answers. Like, this is a group thing. We've got over 100 people watching this right now. This needs to be a group thing. If we don't cover something in this, then please comment, because we want to bring it in and make sure that everyone gets answers to questions that they've got right now.
Yeah, any questions you've got, guys, you know, feel free to fire them in. You know, not saying we'll have the answers, but we'll do our best.
I think we can get some way to getting answers, and you and I have spoken quite a lot over the last couple of days. You know, we've got I've seen the rise of some platforms over the last few weeks. There's a few that I had no idea even existed, and we're going to talk about some of those. But equally, we have a list that we'll talk about in a while too. But if people have got comments and suggestions as to other things that we need to be including in this conversation, or platforms that they've used, please comment below, because as we said, we're not coming to this with all of the answers, just trying to help put some of it in one place so that you've got something to refer back to.
Perfect. Okay, so to kick it off, Dom, you obviously run a live streaming company. What kind of things are you getting asked most at the moment for? You know, are people asking for things that you just can't do because there's a bit of mythology about what live streaming is, etc.?
I think a lot of what we're getting asked for is, can we do? And it's, people are having to find ways to work now. You know, we're doing quite well still with our corporate clients, because there's still the need to run internal conferences, probably more than ever. And some of our corporate clients don't want to just do the bog standard video conference. They want something a little bit more produced. So we did, a client just did on Tuesday, actually, on Monday. We ran a 4.5 hour strategy session, which we did online. And that was a combination of video chat, just like you and I are doing now. They had live demos. They had some pre-recorded content. It was filled in with presenters from various parts of the company in individual locations. And we pulled all of that together, and we managed that remotely, streamed it out to a platform so that 450 odd employees could all get involved in that.
And how did that go? Did they kind of interact with it? Did people get it? Did people?
Yeah, they did, absolutely. Interestingly, they ran a poll while we were running, saying, what do people think of this as a format? Do you think, number one, you can't beat live? Number two, this is as good as it's going to get right now? Or number three, I'm struggling to follow the content. And I think the majority of people sat in, this is as good as it's going to get right now. We had a few that said, I'm struggling to follow the content. And then we had others, a good number still, that still want the face-to-face, but do understand that right now that's just not possible. Yeah. So we're doing an awful lot in and around that, that space of turning an internal, what would be an internal meeting, into a production that goes a step beyond just running a video conference.
Yeah.
And then you've got the other side to that. You know, I don't know if Chrissy's going to watch. I think she's planning on watching. But I spoke to Chrissy at length yesterday about how she could create an online quiz for a corporate client, and we found various solutions. And if she's not on this call, it's because she's investigating ways to do that. So we're getting asked for all sorts across the range, and I'm always honest with people. I will say this now: what I do will not suit everybody, especially right now. Live streaming has changed dramatically in the last 7 days. So we're not necessarily always the right company to come to in terms of providing your ultimate solution, but we're actually quite a good sounding board for, this is the idea that we've got for an event. Will it work?
I think particularly knowing you know, you're all about giving people a right solution, and even if that doesn't involve, you know, you yourself and something you can provide. So what kind of scope in terms of the demand has gone up since a live event stopped, really? You know, with a lot of people been asking you, has it gone crazy?
We've had lots of inquiries of, again, you know, it comes back to people trying to find something that's going to work for their event. And of the, I don't know, I'll pick a number, but say we've had 25 inquiries, we're probably only able to actually physically help 3 or 4 of them. Simply because what they need to achieve can actually be done without me, as much as I hate to say it, but you don't need a live streaming company
too
for
honest.
a lot of what yeah, but now isn't the time to be saying, yeah, I'll take your money, we'll get involved, because, you know, it's just not sensible. We can't help, we can help everybody. We don't need to help the vast majority of people right now, because there are tools out there, and some amazing tools that that will get people at least 85-90% of the way towards the kind of event that they need to be running online.
Fantastic. Well, that actually leads us into some of the, I know you've been doing quite a bit of research. I mean, I know you know this is your kind of area of expertise anyway, but I know you've been doing some research as well for this. So do you want to run us through some of the most popular ones? I mean, we'll all have been hearing about Zoom, which seemed to have come from nowhere over the last couple of months. You know, through to Facebook Live and everything.
There's a ton of the tools that businesses have been using for years, and people have largely been ignored, but now is absolutely the time to engage with those. So what we've done, and people who are watching, we've got 120 odd people watching right now. What we've done is I've compiled the beginnings of a list. It's a Google Doc. It's open to everybody. It's fully editable by everybody. And what I would ask is access this knowing that it's incomplete. And what I mean by that is I have put together the list of tools that I have found, or that I've read about or heard about over the last few weeks, from video conferencing, from webinars, to online events, to remote podcast recordings. We've covered a whole range of things in this list. And I've started to put some of the detail in here, but it would be really helpful for the Delegate Wranglers as a community if, when you're on here, you think, you know, I'll just go click on this link and I'll find out how much it is, or what the minimum number of presenters or the maximum number of participants is, and then fill this in, because we want to make this a kind of working document for a couple of weeks.
I think that's a brilliant idea. You know, this would be really, go on. I was just going to say, this would be really good for everybody to get involved with. Everybody who's kind of using these products and using these services. That would be a really good resource tool for everybody to have a look at. Thanks for putting that together, Dom. We're going to make it available. You're going to
I'm going to stick it on the screen right now just so people can see it. So this is what we've done. There's a list of 51, I think, 54 tools on here so far, which we've come across, which I've heard about, just for the benefit of everybody who's watching at home. You can access that by visiting, just go to a browser and go to go.stream.com/online_events. It was the simplest way of doing it.
We can put the link on afterwards as well.
I've just done a little bit of a redirect. I'll type it into the comments in a minute, perhaps when Neil's talking and I don't have to be speaking as well. But I'm hoping that this is going to be a useful document. And like I said, we've covered everything from video conferencing, webinars, online events, and even remote podcasting. But please, the other thing that I would say is, don't ignore the tools that we have access to. You know, the immediate, I saw someone saying she was going to run she wanted to have a chat with her team. It was on LinkedIn, I think. She wanted to have a chat with the team. What tools are out there that she could use? I thought, well, actually, the simplest ones are your device. You know, get on WhatsApp, get a group video chat on WhatsApp, get on Facebook Messenger. These tools are here and they're ready and they're useful for us right now. So please, don't ignore the ones that are closest to you, because they are free and they're cheap and they're easy. And if you only need 3, 4, or 5 kind of people on there, then they work really well.
Also, Dom, just noticed a couple of questions on the group, just asking your opinion on Zoom. You know, how easy. I mean, I've used it a few times. It's been fab for me when I've used it. I'm sure, I'm sure it's everybody's using it. So, at some point that probably changes the way it's running and things.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a love-hate relationship with Zoom for many reasons. I've used Zoom a lot over the years, and it is a really, really good tool. It is absolutely coming into its own right now. And one thing that I have read, there is a free plan on Zoom, which I think is capped at 100 participants and 40 minutes. I have heard, although I haven't actually seen this written anywhere by them, that they've removed the 40-minute cap at the moment. I think
Right.
it's still capped at 100 people, but they've removed the time limit, which is really helpful. So having access to that as a free tool is brilliant. It is a brilliant platform. And for my family on Saturday night, I'm actually running a music quiz using Zoom. Because I know it works really well. So it's absolutely worth doing.
I want to join in. I'm going to join in.
I really like Zoom. It's a good platform. It has issues, but you know, it's one of the biggest out there. That Uber conference, there's a few out there that I really do rate. There's a lot on the list. We've got an awful lot of people now. I think we've got 25 or so already people on the Google Docs. They're starting to look through it just to see what's on there.
See what's on. Don, I was just going to say, what about Microsoft Teams as well? Because I heard, you know, somebody was using a bit of bad press. Not bad press, but people having bad experiences or tough experiences using it. Is it just a temporary thing because it's just gone overloaded with people?
I really, really want to like Microsoft Teams. I really, really want to like Microsoft Teams. There is a big problem with it right now. And I think there's a combination of two things. I think number one, I think they've probably been caught slightly off guard by the sudden uptake in it. And number two, considering it's Microsoft, I don't think they had the infrastructure in place to even run it as a platform anyway. It has the potential to be brilliant. The incorporation of Microsoft Stream, from my perspective, as a live streaming company, incorporating Microsoft Stream into Teams was an absolute no-brainer. But for example, the event that I was running for the clients the other day on Monday was originally going to run on Microsoft Stream. We tested it through Microsoft Teams. We tested it extensively over the weekend. Me and their CEO were on and off, just making sure that we could recreate a new room and get the settings changed. And everything was absolutely fine. But as soon as we loaded that server with 400 people and we tried to go live, the whole thing fell over. And it was a very last minute panic to move over to our plan B, which luckily we had in place. And I think I hope it gets better. I'd be really interested. If you're a Microsoft Teams or Microsoft Stream user and you're having success with it, I'd be really interested to see what sort of numbers you're putting through it. It's supposed to be okay for thousands, but I don't know anyone that's got success with more than 20 or 25 people. Wow. So disappointingly, that's my honest opinion.
So I mean, now is the time for that to get resolved, isn't it? As well, you know, never is streaming and connecting with people being more relevant, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's they need to fix it urgently, because unfortunately, what's happening in the process of in all of this is that the platforms are getting rated, they are getting looked at, and people are forming their own opinions very, very quickly. And that platform's not holding up.
Just to let you know as well, Dom, I've just seen more people are getting interested in your music quiz. So just saying, you better open it up. Anyway, so what advice?
Well, here's the thing: if I can make it work with my family on Saturday night, perhaps we'll look at doing one in the group.
Maybe we'll do one on DW Live. That's a really good idea. Okay, so what advice would you give to people who want to move their whole event online? Sorry. Now I know you were telling me about some amazing products that you've just discovered. I'm not sure if you've not used them, I guess, but what the prospect of what they can do is really quite cool.
So the first thing I think when we're talking to clients right now about moving their event online is, first of all, what actually is it that you're trying to achieve? You know, not every event, it's a really hard thing to say. Not every event moves online that easily. Some things just do not work. You know, right now we're having lots of success with corporate clients who are very easily able to move their team strategy, or they're looking ahead to the next financial year type meetings. They work really well, but I think you've really got to understand what it is that you're trying to move online. And then, you know, making use of tools that are available on that list that I've created, looking and seeing, okay, is it a video conference? A video conference being, you've got loads of people in the room at the same time, probably only one person talking at once. It's probably going to get a little bit loud if you've got 40 or 50 people there, but it will work. Video conferencing works really well. If you're just looking to have that direct, as best you can, face-to-face conversation with people in your team or with businesses or with clients or whatever it is. However, if the content that you're delivering is just really you talking or you presenting slides in a more of an educational format, then you're going down the route of the webinars. You know what? Sorry, to go back, I think conferencing, we have to give Zoom the airtime that they deserve. It is a brilliant platform. Uber Conference is another really good platform that I've used a few times. WebEx I've used quite a lot in the past. Join.me is one I've used in the past. And I won't rule out Microsoft Teams if they can sort themselves out.
What's wrong with your sound over there, Tom?
But then when you start moving into webinars, my absolute favorite in the webinar space is Webinar Jam. Now that's a bit of a hybrid because it's a bit of a video conference in some ways. If you're just talking about 6 people and sharing slides between 6 people, you do that as a video conference in Webinar Jam. But Webinar Jam allows up to 6 presenters to be in the stream, in the event at any one time. And then depending on the plan that you've bought into, which I want to say starts at $500 and ends at $1,000. And I think there's one in the middle at $700 or $800. You can either have 500, it's between 500 and 5,000 participants on that. The Webinar Jam is a superb product, and I've recommended it to a few people over the last few weeks, and they've all done really well with it. But there are other tools out here. I will say to those of you that are looking at Google Docs, please remember that there are other people using it at the same time as you. But it would be really useful just to have a look at that. So where is it? Video conferencing. So you can filter it on the category column. So Click Meeting, that's another one. Demio is another one for webinars. Easy Webinar. Easy Webinar is exactly as it does exactly as it says on the tin. So yeah, there's, like I said, it's picking the right platform for the event that you are taking forwards. Now, where I think it's got really interesting. Sorry, you're going to say something.
No, go on. I was just going to come to some questions. It's okay.
Where I think platforms are having the biggest success, there's 2 platforms that I really, really rate at the moment. And so much so that I'm tempted to do something completely separately entirely on one or both of these platforms. So I'm going to put on the screen now, there is a platform called Hopin, which is hopin.to. I will show you this on the screen right now. Now, what Hopin has done is they've gone about things in a slightly different way. Rather than just create another video conferencing or another webinar platform, what they've done is they've actually created this first opportunity to truly take an event to a live platform, to an online platform. So as you can see, those that are watching and can see it quite clearly, you have, when you're creating your event, you have the ability to create a main event stage. You also have the ability to create interactive roundtable sessions. You also have online one-to-one networking, and then you can also do a virtual exhibition and virtual booths. Now, the reason that this works so well for me is because they've covered really the 4 key parts of why you go to a live event. It's to go see the content, to break down and go into the roundtable sessions and into the breakout rooms, to network and to visit the exhibitors. So Hopin, by the way, I was made aware of Hopin by someone in the group. I'll take it off the screen for a minute. Someone in the group posted about Hopin last week, or 10 days ago, I think it was. And since then, I've recommended it to 5 or 6 of my clients. And indeed, when Microsoft Teams fell over the other day, our backup plan was to move entirely to Hopin. And we actually just ran it as a live event stage. Now, let me just talk about each of those 4 sections individually. So the live event stage is exactly as you would expect it to be, but you can run it in 2 ways. You can run it as a video conference. So you can bring, I think, up to 6 or 8 presenters in the background and then have your participants watching and they can switch between those. Or for people like me running a live streaming company, we can stream into that stage. So we can create this production around that platform and kind of turn it into a bit more of a produced event. So that's the live stage. You either have companies like me streaming into it, or you have the kind of traditional video conferences and switching and sharing your slides, etc., etc. Then you've got the sessions, the interactive roundtables. Now, I don't believe there's a limit to these, and I think you can have up to 15 people in each one. I will stand to be corrected, but you can have multiples of these. So then you can have lots of different content being sent out. And people can choose which session they join, and they can duck in and out at any time. These are brilliant. I was involved in an event that ran online through Hopin last week, and I probably joined 5 or 6 of the roundtable discussions. And it was primarily the presenters that have been on the main stage talking about their subject in a little bit more detail.
Yeah.
Then we're going to move on to the networking and the one-on-ones. The networking, for those of you that remember it, I can't remember when it was, but there was a function called, there was an online platform called Chat Roulette. And basically you sat online and it just rotated through a load of people. It landed on someone, and then you got a defined amount of time to talk to them.
Yeah, yeah.
And you could either move on. Do you
On
remember?
Google. I think it was on Google or something.
Yeah.
On Google
like
or something.
Yeah. Basically, these guys have created a new version of, or they've based this function for networking on the same kind of function as Chat Roulette. So you join into the networking room, and you might have 100 people in there. The admin has set control for how long you're allowed to network for. So it's anything from half a minute to 2.5 minutes. And then there's a matching function. So when you sign in, you have to give some of your details. And there's this matching function. It's a little bit like Tinder, a matching function, and then that stores your match details behind you, and then you're able to connect with those offline. That works really, really well. It's a lot of fun to do, and it's worth looking at. And then the final part is the expo and the virtual booths. This is very much a work in progress. At the moment, I believe you can upload a video for your company to that booth, and people can walk around the booth and they can watch all of the videos from all of those companies.
Wow, all that stuff is slightly terrifying to me, because I think we're all going to be replaced. No, but I'm sure, like you said, it's all just used to embellish, or in situations like this, or if it's a conference that is far flung and people can't get in from all parts of the world, it's that kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. I really rate Hopin as a platform. I didn't know about it, and by the way, I'm not getting paid for saying that at all.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. To be honest.
I'm not getting paid for it. However, it is a really good platform, and I think it's the first one that I've seen that's really executed it well. They're still very, very early stage company. They've been around less than a year, I think. It's very early stage, but it really. It's the first proper move towards a real good hybrid event platform where you could actually have a live audience and someone joining in remotely too.
Cool. So a couple of quick questions from the chat. Thanks everybody for sending them in. Keep them coming. This is all about an interactive thing. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Shelley asks, any advice on platforms for 1,000 plus or 2,000 plus to hold quizzes? And
who asked that?
Shelley Hind, HND. I think she's referring directly to your quiz on Saturday night for the band. So, any advice on that? I mean, there's some suggestions there from James Lovell, Zoom webinar and GoToWebinar.
Again, it comes back to what you're trying to achieve. What is the event? Is it one?
It's a quiz. It's a quiz for 1,000 people, 2,000.
Okay, so this is where you have to start getting creative with tools. So we looked at this yesterday, as I mentioned just now, with Chrissy, and one of the ways that could work is by having a Zoom video conference running so that you can see everybody, and that would be really cool. But then separately, Slido, the brilliant people at Slido, if you have Slido, you know Slido, don't you, Neil? Slido have just put into beta testing, but it is available to everybody, a quiz function. So you can go on there and you can create a quiz in Slido, and you can send that out. And they've also, I believe, given the ability to drop a Zoom conference onto that screen so that you can have everybody in one place with both the video conference, and all of the quiz questions coming up.
Have we got a link to Slido as well on that list that you put together?
Yeah, Slido is, if no one has reordered it, Slido is line number 45.
Cool.
And yeah, there's a link there. So that's how you would do it, and you'd be all right for up to 1,000, 2,000 people.
So another quick question from Ross McIntosh. Thank you, McIntosh. Sorry. What software were you using to produce this? Over to you, Tom.
This is the secret sauce. It's an American company called Switcher. I built my business around this when I started 2018. We only produce content using iPhones and the iOS infrastructure, and that's what we're doing to produce this.
Because as I was mentioning to Dom earlier, I'm aware that on Facebook Live you can't have multiple people like the way we are, unless you use an external software to do it. I actually spoke to Facebook about this actually earlier today, funnily enough, and I think it's something that they're working on to try and tackle and bring to it, given the circumstances that everybody's under at the moment. So watch this space on that one.
Absolutely. So, are there any other questions coming in? I'm just going to have a quick flick through myself. I've seen more people commenting about the music quiz, only if it's an 80s music quiz. Mandy, no, it's a good mix of music is my music quiz. Have we got any other questions coming in? There's tons of comments on here. Wow.
Yeah. Well, I've got some that I can ask you, Dom. What about any tips for people who are taking part in a video conference, or actually, in a webinar or anything like that, in terms of the setup of your system, where your laptop should be, what your background should be? Definitely not have mirrors in the background like mine.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
So there's two.
You can give us.
There's a few things to say. First of all, I think it's really important to say is you do not need to run out and spend a ton of money on getting a load of kit to make this really sing online. You've probably got all of the tools that you need to hand to be able to make what your event needs to be work. I've got cameras here. I've got microphones here. I've got soundboard here that allows me to do all sorts of stuff. But I've got that because this is my life. This is my business. This is my profession. You don't need that. So first things first, don't think that you probably haven't got enough kit to pull this off. Second thing is there are things that you can do to help yourselves. I can't show you that easily. I should have had a second camera ready, and I can't do that quickly. He says, thinking, actually, yes, I probably can show you in a minute. But I have my laptop raised in front of me. So I've got my laptop on a box so that when I'm on conference calls or when I'm on Zoom, as I will be later on with a couple of my team, I'm looking forward at the screen instead of down at it. And it makes such a difference in terms of how the content comes across. Making sure, as far as humanly possible, making sure that you've got a plain background-ish behind you really helps. Making sure also that if you've got a window in the room, it's in front of you, not behind you. If my window in my living room was behind me, you wouldn't be able to see me because I'd just be a shadow. It would look awful, but the natural light's coming in on my face. And also because I do this, I've got lights just giving me an extra bit of a boost. Very glad that it's not in HD.
And you've also been in for makeup as well.
Yeah, always in makeup, me.
Right, I've got a couple of. Go on, sorry. Any more? Anything about your setup?
No, not in terms of setup. I think the only other thing that's really important is audio. If your room, when you're sitting in it naturally, sounds like you're sitting in a bathroom, plug in a headset that's just going to help bring some of that echo back down. So it just puts a little bit more focus on your voice. It's really important that people can hear you. Lots is said about live streaming and about quality of live streaming. But in actual fact, people will forgive a bad video image if the audio is good. So please put some concentration and some focus and effort into the audio. And it does normally only take a headset.
Okay, I've got one more question from me and then a couple more from everybody.
Yeah.
What about, I guess a lot of people are creating video content at the moment because obviously they can't go out and talk to people about the sales, so they might be creating things or getting things made for them.
Yeah.
Any tips on that? I've read recently that you've obviously got to make it interesting. Let it have some action in it rather than just, one bloke talking to a camera. Make sure your messaging is consistent, and really importantly that there's a call to action, I guess, on the end of it. But is there anything in particular that you can think of, any other tips?
I think the most important thing is delivering something that's meaningful. delivering content that's valuable, making sure that people can still take something away from it. You know, I've seen loads of people jumping on Facebook Live, and I've seen people on Twitter going live, just talking about their day. And okay, that's fine. It probably satisfies the need for some things in some ways, but I've seen a couple of businesses doing that, and I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but I think it's not actually adding anything. You know, I talked.
Being a bit creative, really. Creativity is important.
Yeah, absolutely. I talked last year on a video chat that I had with someone online about not getting lost in the noise of the internet, and it was really, honestly, it was really bloody hard even last year to find your way to get your voice heard in the noise of the internet. And while I think the current situation in the world presents a lot of us with one of the biggest opportunities we have when we come out the other side, right now the internet is even more noisy. There is even more noise being created by businesses. So if you're just talking about your cat, or you're going on and talking about the lunch that you just ate, you're really not going to cut it. So I think the biggest thing I say to people is, please find content that delivers meaning, delivers value, educates, entertains, maybe even drives a bit of emotion. That's the content that's going to work.
Cool. Okay. Thank you for that. A couple of quick questions. One from Craig. Hi, Craig. How are you? Craig's looking at running an event soon online. There'll be a number of artists performing. Users want to watch the artist one at a time, but need a smooth transition between the artists performing. Best thing to use, something like that. Thousands will be watching. Something like Hopin, do you think?
So the difficulty that you're going to have with something like Hopin will be that you have quite a, the only way I can describe it, it will be quite a clunky transition between multiple streams on the main stage. Neil, can you make a note of who asked that question? I'm going to come back. And I need to put some thought into the best way that can work, but there will be a solution.
I'll put you guys in touch.
Yes.
Okay, a couple more questions. It would just be quick because I'm aware we've been on for ages.
We have 127 people watching, so people are obviously getting something from it. I am going to answer. Can I answer one of the questions that I have seen?
Go on.
Lisa Cox, why would I use your services, Dom? I think you posted that earlier as well. Lisa, it depends in what context you mean. If you're talking about right now, people are using us right now because we are working with corporate clients who don't just want to run a typical webinar. They don't just want to run a video conference. They want to take the production of that to a slightly better produced level. So on Monday, the client that we worked with, we had 15 presenters in 15 different parts of the country. We had some pre-recorded content. We had some live demos, and we produced that remotely for them. So I was able to bring the right presenter on the screen at the right time, put the graphics on the screen like I'm doing right now with our names, like all of this stuff in terms of having logos. It just turned the whole production into a much higher quality production.
More professional.
Yeah, a much more professional thing for a corporate client. Away from here, Lisa, we could talk for hours about why you should use Stream, but this isn't a commercial stream. We'll talk about that away from it.
Yeah, and I could give you loads of reasons not to use them as well. No, but I think, being serious, the rule of thumb really is, if it's something internal that's a meeting between your teams, you really don't need to do it. You know, you can just use it, like Dom's mentioned, the tools that he's laid out before and put in that document. There's tons and tons of options. Yeah. But if you want something that a little bit more professional, a little bit more slick, use Stream and many of the others out there as well. There's tons, and you can just go up in levels of production values and how big you want to go, you know, with these things.
And it's,
I guess.
Absolutely, but it's also the same with all of the tools that we recommended. For people that weren't on a short time ago, we've created a document. It's the beginnings of a document that I think is going to be useful to everybody. It's a Google Doc, which I've put on the screen. It's a list of video conferencing, online events, remote podcast recording. And the idea of putting this out in public is that people have access to it and that they can start adding some more detail in it. So it becomes a much more useful document for the community.
Fantastic. Great idea, Dom.
The link to that is on the screen right now. It's go.stream.com/online_events.
Sure. Thank you. Shirley Rhodes asked him, thanks Shirley for the question. How about secure polling for AGMs for about 100 people? Is that anything you've got experience of or anything?
Interestingly, I was having a conversation with a client yesterday. We're remotely producing an AGM for them at the end of April. They have the same question. I believe, in terms of secure, I believe Slido is secure in that way. I know Glisser is, and there are others.
Yeah.
There's another one that's completely escaping me. I just saw Paul Butterworth was in here. Paul, if you're on, and you're still watching, listening, can you ring me? Because I'd like to bring you into this conversation, because I think you've probably got something you can add to this. So if you ring me.
Paul works for Orchard Media, and they specialise in a lot of this kind of things on slightly different to what Dom does. You want to explain the difference, Dom? You're doing live streaming and like things with iPhones and things. And
what the difference between myself and Orchard?
Yeah.
Oh my God! I mean, we were hoping to have Paul on this call today, because it would be really useful. Orchard is just a very big version of what I do. They use big kit, but they also they have so many more strings to their bows. I run a live
TV show. They produce TV show.
I run a live streaming company. We use iPhones to do that, and it's really cool tech, and people love it, and we're doing very well. Paul's business produces TV shows, radio shows, festivals. And they're involved in a massive project at the moment.
Well, if we can't get Paul on now, we'll get him.
I was really hoping to
talk about that. I know he's really busy at the moment. With,
I know he is.
Bigger picture things.
I will let you talk just for a minute. I'm going to message him just on the off chance that he's free.
Okay. Well, I've got another quick question for you from Gabby. Great session. With a program that needs to span across 2 days, what are the recommended times from breaks to talks? How long would you recommend between streaming? And, in your experience, how is that handled?
Hold that thought. We have Paul, who I'm hoping, through the wonders of technology, Paul Butterworth.
Hello everybody.
See, this is brilliant. When the tech works, right?
Oh my God. It's like Good Morning Britain or something, isn't it? Wow.
Paul,
it's the dream team.
Yeah, absolutely. Neil, come back to your question. Hold that thought. We'll come back to it.
Okay.
First of all, Paul, can I get you to introduce yourself and also answer the question that Neil just asked in terms of what it is that Orchard actually does?
Well, hello everybody. Sorry, I was supposed to join this call, but Orchard have been called on a fairly on a major project, so my focus has been aside to that. But I'm the business development manager for Orchard Media and Events Group. Trying to identify what Orchard do. We do AV tech and live streaming, similar to Dom, but we do it more of a fixed site and with a system called Vimeo, which can also be uploaded to 360 degrees with green screen behind that, so you can be in the middle of Staines, for instance, with the background of New York. If you want to do that, we can upload that through any social media channel, but we can also bolt on to existing websites, so it looks like you are dialing into your website. So Delegate Wranglers / live streaming would be an example, and that we provide an access code, so you can make that as public or as private as you want it. But just covering the live streaming, but we also run events. We do filming, TV production, radio production, creative design, website design, as hopefully you will find out very, very soon.
Top secret.
That's a good enough intro. Paul, I got you in because I saw you commented talking about polling and secure polling. Now I know that Slido is secure. I know that Glisser is secure, but I think I saw you comment that you had another couple of ideas as well on polling.
Yeah, so polling can be added through a YouTube channel.
Yep.
So if you are doing your live stream out on that particular, and also Facebook, I understand, can be done through a polling system that is interactive. We also use something called DoPoll, which is an exclusive online voting system, and that can be a bit more creative in terms of what you want to ask and control, and also the results in terms of the split or feeling in the conference or with the delegates is almost immediate.
Sorry, Paul,
So
what was that called?
DoPoll, DOOPOLL.
Paul, if you could put that on the chat, maybe at the end of this, that would be great.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And I can Steve, the MD, is part of the group as well. So Steve Dimmock, we can organise it through any live streaming service and that separately, or incorporate it as part of a larger package. But I'll put the details on the chat afterwards. But yeah, that's very secure and very tailored as well in terms of how you want to ask your questions, whether you want to ask it over 2-3 days, 2-3 hours, even over the course of an hour. So very, very interactive.
Cool.
Excellent. Have you got any other tips in this regard, Paul? We're trying to make sure we give as much information out to people as possible. What are your tips in terms of the good conferencing platforms? What are your tips in terms of making the transition to an online event successful?
Yeah, I think the first reason is to have a purpose to it. You know, if you are wanting to do a seminar, whether that be delivering some information, but without the face-to-face interaction, which, you know, with social distancing at the moment seems to be very, very popular, to have purpose, but also have a structure, know what you're doing in terms of delivery, have your graphics ready or slides if you are going to be doing any slides, have used as good a quality audio and visual as you want. But I think, Dom, I jumped in on the point where you were making, if you're going to do it, make sure the audio is correct. Absolutely 100%, because if the visual goes down, you still have the audio quality there. I think having a purpose for it, if you are doing that across multiple channels, whether that be through social media or websites, to be able to give people access when they need it, information up front of where to go, and also the reasons behind why you are doing a live stream as opposed to meeting in person. But also you can expand that out to multiple arenas, such as cinemas, or you can do that across a number of different venues. So with this time of strange time that we're in at the moment, to be able to kind of bring multiple people into one meeting seems to be crucial. But to have the purpose for and reasons why you're doing it, and your information that you want to convey over the course of the meeting, very much set out and structured.
Yeah, I know that View Cinema on that, and you'll know that View Cinemas used to have a live. We talked about it briefly, Paul, but they had a live streaming that you could do between all the theatres. So if you wanted to get a message out to multiple people, you know, sitting within the theatres, you could do, as in, like, say, a company message to everybody and do a presentation, things like that. So
in the interest of balance, I've done the same with Cineworld. It's a really good way to not have thousands of people traveling to one destination, but to put them in multiple destinations around the country and stream the content from one or from many too.
And they actually create them as mini events as well. You know, you can have catering and everything at these places. So it's really cool. But obviously that's when we can get out in the open again. So would you mind if I just came back to that?
Sorry,
just to add that, that's a really cost-effective way of meeting, and also adding in the live streaming without the travel. You know, instead of hiring one huge venue for a lot of people to travel to, it's actually really cost-effective to bring a few people to various venues than actually one big delegate conference.
Absolutely.
I think for the right kind of conference, definitely. So a quick question from Gabby that I mentioned earlier. Obviously, running a conference that was over 2 days,
Yeah.
What the recommended times for like breaks and sessions, and with it being online, are the rules any different? I think is what I'm asking from a normal conference.
I think I'll take that first, Paul, and then because you'll have your own thoughts
Yeah.
as well. I think my experience of this over the last few days, particularly, has been that you probably need to build in a few more breaks, because sitting watching content online and just listening to content online just takes a little bit more out of you. And it's worth giving people the space to just go get a drink, go take a comfort break, and just take a breather away from having to stare at the screen, especially if your content that you're delivering is very, very slide heavy, or it's reliant on staring at the screen. Paul, your thoughts?
No, I totally agree with what you just said, Dom. You have to have engagement, interest, but also it has to be condensed more so, because you're not going to get that interaction that you'd ordinarily would get at a conference. And you've got to remember, people are in their own homes viewing this, so there might also be other distractions, like I've certainly had this week of homeschooling. So, so those things, to keep it short and sharp, but also engaging and interesting, with more comfort breaks than ordinarily would be planned.
I mean, to give to put some numbers against it, Neil, I think a good way of demonstrating again is the example from Monday. So originally, the content that was put out as a strategy day for the client on Monday was going to be a whole day at County Hall. And because they moved it online, they shrunk it down to 4.5 hours. There were 2 15-minute comfort breaks in that time, as well as a technical issue when we first live streamed. It meant we didn't start till slightly later. So people were probably only really, really having to engage with that for maybe 3.5 hours. But it was spread over a good few sessions, and it worked really well.
That probably leads into a wider discussion about the length of time that people could actually take in information in one go. Back in the day, if you go back maybe 5-10 years ago, or probably even still now, you'd have these full 2-day conferences where you'd be sitting there all morning. You'd have one break in the middle. There's kind of people who say you should just teach people in bite-sized things, but let's save that for another day, because that's another kind of work.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul, I'm gonna let you go, because I know that you've got a ton going on at the moment. Are there any last comments that you want to make before we say goodbye?
No, I think just to add that, there's loads of people in the Wranglers, that have all of these key skill sets, in this tough time, to really share your experience with everybody, share the love across the site, because the jobs will start to come again.
Yeah, they will.
We're taking inquiries already for seminars that are being cancelled face to face, that are being planned post COVID, that are starting to be put into place. So
what kind of time frames are they, Paul? What kind of time frames are they? Kind of like August, September, or further afield?
So we're getting some that are looking for May time, because they already have a schedule of works that they have to complete as part of a contract. So we're looking at how we structure that across out of a particular office, with social distancing, if it's still with us at that point, to deliver on multiple sites across the UK that are already prepaid. So it's trying to be contractually obliging to what they're already doing, but also delivering something that is professional. So timeframes in terms of May, we have, in terms of a number at this moment in time, 300 inquiries into live streaming, but we have 0 confirmed. So we know that they're out there, that people are wanting to do that. People will start to enact what they need to have been doing during this time, and get back into normality very, very quickly after we get back into the office. So the jobs will come out, because but just keep putting your inquiries, keep sharing the love on the Wranglers, because everything will come back as a landslide. I think Neil and you and I, Dom, have had a chat about that that your work is out there. It's just being ready to and able to enact when it comes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think
Thanks, Paul.
I'm gonna let you, Paul. I'll let you drop off if you don't mind. So I'll just say thanks for joining. And I'll catch up with you very soon.
Thanks, Paul.
Guys. Stay safe.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, guys. Cheers. Bye.
I think, Neil, I think that starts to open up a much wider question, which we can get into. We won't do it in this, but I think it opens up a much wider question about the future of events and how the current situation and learning and understanding about taking an event online is going to impact the live event going forward. Because I think it will, and I think it will be positive.
Yeah, sure. Really, yeah, as you say, for another day. Quick question from Ross.
Yes,
thanks, Ross. Locations with no hardwired internet, your best friend, Dom, I know that. And poor 4G connectivity. Any recommendations for hardware to boost it? Now, I know you've got something that I used at Confex recently.
Hardwire, who was it that asked Ross?
Ross.
Ross, this is a constant bugbear for me. It's a really hard thing to manage. A lot of venues have a hardwired internet connection. A lot of venues are able to provide a good enough speed to be able to get a good quality live stream out. You're probably looking at needing 20, 25 meg up and down as an internet connection to get an HD stream out stably. London venues should be able to provide that problem. Some London venues choose to charge quite a lot for that, and it makes it almost impossible to access. Neil just mentioned an event that we had a problem with a few weeks ago where a hardwire internet connection was going to be an awful lot of money for the speed that we wanted. So when you're left in that situation, there are a couple of options. You have a standard 4G router option. If you bear with me, in my kit of things, I have this brilliant little device, which is made by Netgear. It's the Netgear Nighthawk M1. It's a 4G router.
Can you put a link to that?
I'll stick a route in here.
Great.
It's the Netgear Nighthawk M1. It's a fantastic 4G router. It's an enterprise-grade 4G router with an Ethernet port on the bottom, and it works fantastically well. In central London particularly, it's really good. I have run whole day and multi-day events off a single device. However, it's not the safest thing to do. And if you have the budget, and if you don't want to go to the extent of having to battle a venue to get a good hardwire out of them, you can talk to companies like my good friend Gary at Simplify or Nova Communications, I think they're now known as, who will provide you with a bonded 4G solution, which is brilliant as a temporary Wi-Fi, either for live streaming or for guest event Wi-Fi or guest Wi-Fi at events, or for both. I'll put a link to Gary's service in here as well because they're brilliant. So I would recommend that.
Fantastic. Well, I can see one last question from Tony Williams. I do a broadcast to fans on a Saturday evening. How do you incorporate music and photos? Is any of the simple things that like Zoom and things like that we could do that with, or WebEx?
Music and photos. Sorry, I missed
Tony Williams. It's near the bottom. A broadcast to fans on a Saturday evening. How would I incorporate music and photos?
I would incorporate music and photos. I'm assuming you want to play the music, Tony.
Play the music, yeah, I would, and show some photos, I guess.
Playing music, go live on Facebook. You can go live on Facebook and get music out there. Getting photos in turns into a bit more of a production. So from home, there are tools such as OBS is a free live streaming tool. You can download it. It takes a little bit of working out, but get yourselves on YouTube because there are a ton of people that have done tutorials on OBS. It's a brilliant little platform. It's downloaded as software onto your computer. You can connect a camera at home. You can connect a microphone into it. And then with a little bit of working out, you can stream a higher production quality to the likes of Facebook or to YouTube. But then you can also throw in photos and other video and graphics and all sorts of bits and pieces as well. I will put a link to that on here as well, because I think it'll be really helpful.
Okay, well, I think we've been on for about an hour. That's perfect time. You'd think I was a professional, wouldn't you? So, anything last to add, Dom, just briefly before we wrap up?
I'm just trying to think, because we've obviously spoken quite a lot about this. I think one thing getting more information about this stuff, the list that we've created, and I've left the link on the screen, the list that we've created is a really good starting point, because I think if nothing else, what it will do is it will show you the massive variety and availability of tools that are out there and open to you. And in no way is this list that I've put out exhaustive. It's been extended by a couple of lines with people on here right now. That isn't an exhaustive list, but go out and find the right tool for your event. Go out and do your research, find the right thing for you, and go make it work. But try stuff. I think right now you have an opportunity to try stuff, and if it doesn't work, people will be so sympathetic to that, because right now this is the time to go out and do. Sorry?
Look at us right now. Look at us right now.
Yeah, right. I mean, okay, arguably I've got a little bit of experience in this, but we're trying something. As you said just before we went live, I don't know if we're going to get 2 or 10 people on them. At one point, I think we peaked at about 140, 150. Yeah. Go out and try it. As long as what you're going to go out and do provides meaning, provides value, entertains, educates, or drives emotion in people, then you've got a chance of it being successful. Okay. A question just come in, sorry, from Richie. Can you advise copyright of music on Facebook? Richie, Facebook, YouTube, all of the big the big social platforms have so much ability to trap the use of copyrighted music. They're even getting quite good at trapping cover versions of songs online now. There aren't many ways around it on the big channels. You just have to use royalty-free music. There was a piece of music at the beginning of this session which was royalty-free that I downloaded from Artlist. Artlist.io is a brilliant royalty-free platform. Motion Array is another one that's got a load of free music and content on there. Again, I can compile a list of those as well, just to get that out there. But no, absolutely, on Facebook, YouTube, please don't use copyrighted music, because it will just take your stream down. And if there's a very strict 3-strike rule on both platforms now. You break it 3 times and they just remove your account, and they prohibit you from doing anything for 60 days. So do stuff sensibly.
Right. The bit that Dom doesn't know is I've now got a quick fire round for him. So we're going to find out a bit more about Dom, the kind of person he is.
Okay, fine.
Dom, by the way. Dom, here we go. Really easy. You're going to love these. For breakfast. Breakfast. For breakfast.
Poached eggs on toast.
Whoa. Full fry up or continental?
Oh, I see. Oh God. Full fry up.
Favorite movie?
Come back to me on that. I need to think.
Gym or comfy sofa?
Oh God. A comfy sofa.
Roller coaster or hook a duck? And I did say hook a duck.
Hook. Okay, fine. Hook a duck. I was going to say that turned into something very different. Roller coaster.
Dusk or dawn?
Or dusk.
Black tie party or pub with friends?
Pub with friends.
I know. Good man.
You
pass the test
every time. Especially if it involves a Delegate Wrangler social, hey?
God. Right, God, remember those heaty days. They're amazing. Anyway, I just wanted to say a massive thanks to Dom and for Paul for dialing in as well. You're going to see much more of these from Dom and myself. Hope you've enjoyed them. I hope you've enjoyed it. My first time, so let us know if you have enjoyed it. Be gentle with me. My first time, remember. Obviously this is a tough time at the moment. So the point of these, as I said right at the start, was, hopefully give you some education. You can learn some things on this, upskill, learn a new skill, and also we're going to be bringing you some fun things. I'm dying to tell you what we're going to be doing, but
I'm dying for you to tell them that one, if it's the one I'm thinking of.
Watch this space, but we're going to do some fun things as well. So if you want to get involved with this, everything we do on this is not for profit. Yeah. It's just basically we're doing this to bring this to our group, to help our group, help encourage them to get through all of this, learn some things as well. But if you want to get involved, please drop me a line. If it's something that you can add, it's something that's entertaining or something valuable that people could get involved with, please drop us a line. And me and Dom are going to be hosting these going forward. we don't know. Every few days, we're just going to see what the content level's like and the interest, if you guys are enjoying them. But please let us know. And if you did enjoy it, tell your friends.
Absolutely. Just the one thing, and I know it's not commercial, and this isn't a commercial opportunity, and I know you won't mind me doing this. If you have more questions, if there's stuff that you want me to take up offline, if you want to talk to me, the easiest way to do so is email me, dominic@stream.com. I've put my email address on the screen right now.
Yeah, there's quite a few people have asked already on the thread.
And you're more than welcome to call me. I haven't got my phone number ready, but it's 07989 555 775. That's 07989 555 775. Just give me a call, drop me an email. I will do my best to give some clarity to any questions that come in.
Great. So thanks very much once again. The most important thing at the moment is to stay indoors, stay safe, get some exercise, all the usual things, but please look after each other. You know, we just wanted to say as well, we're here for you. If you've got anything that the Delegate Wranglers we can help you with, drop me a line and we'll try our best to help you wherever we can, because we're just all about getting the industry back on its feet at the moment. So anyway, all the best, stronger together. See you soon.
Absolutely. Round of applause for Neil, everybody.